Good evening, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to my evening news report right here on the Riley King Network. I'm broadcasting live here in Washington, D.C. We are in the Riley King Network, Washington, D.C. studio. Let's begin this news report right now on the Riley King Network. Trump trial opens on fast track. Dems arguing for removal. The U.S. Senate began hearing opening arguments Wednesday in President Donald Trump's impeachment trial, with proceedings now on fast track. First up, Democratic House managers making their case that Trump abused his presidential power and should be removed from office. After late-night deliberation over the rules almost ensured no new witness will be heard, the trial picked up speedy. There were a few signs of Republican resistance to quickly assessing and voting on charges related to Trump's dealing with Ukraine. Senators rejected all attempts to bring a new witness, including top Trump aides, and are likely to do so again next week, shutting out any chance of new testimony. Chief Justice John Roberts gavelled open the session as senators settled in for several long days of proceedings. Trump, who was in Davos, Switzerland, attending a global economic forum, suggested he would be open to his advisor testifying, then quickly backtracked, saying there were national security concerns that would stand in the way. The trial makes just a third time the Senate has weighed whether an American president should be removed from office. Democrats argued Trump abused his office by asking Ukraine to investigate political rivals while withholding crucial military aid, and also obstructed Congress by refusing to turn over documents or allowing officials to testify in the House probe. Republicans have defended Trump's actions and cast the process as a potential movement effort to weaken the president in the midst of his re-election campaign. Rep. Adam Schiff of California, chairman of House Intelligence Committee and leader of the prosecution team, launched into opening arguments referring to Alexander Hamilton and the country's other founding fathers who wrote impeachment into the Constitution. The House prosecutors will have 24 hours over the next 3 days to present their case. The president's lawyers will follow with another 24 hours over 3 days to mount a defense. They are expected to take only Sunday off. After that, there will be 16 hours for senators who must sit quietly at their desk, no speeches or cell phones, to ask written questions, and another 4 hours for deliberation. By the end of next week, there is expected to be one last vote on whether or not they want to hear from more witnesses, and if it appears increasingly likely that will be the end. The trial opened Tuesday, and wrangling over rules stretched late into the night, with Republicans shooting down one by one Democrat efforts to get Trump aides, including former National Security Advisor John Bolton, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, and Acting Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney, to testify as witnesses. The trial began with a setback for Republican Senate leader Mitch McConnell, who backed off his plans to limit each side's arguments to 2 days. But the GOP remained united in backing back Democrat requests for witnesses and ultimately approved a rules package that pushes off a final decision on whether or not to seek additional testimony until later in the trial. Senate Democrat leader Chuck Schumerman bemoaned the limitation, saying the impeachment trial begins with a cloud hanging over it. A cloud of unfairness. Republicans were eager for a swift trial, yet Trump's legal team passed on an opportunity to file a motion to dismiss the case on Wednesday, in acknowledgement that there were not enough Republican votes to support it. Procedural wrangling and political posturing dominated the trial's opening. White House counsel Pat Cipollone, and President's lead lawyer, called the trial a farce. He scoffed that the House charges against Trump were ridiculous. The White House legal team did not dispute Trump's actions when he called Ukraine and asked for a favor, which was to investigate Biden, as he withheld military aid and ally desperately needed as it faced off with hostile Russia on its border. But the lawyers insisted the president did nothing wrong. Absolutely no case, Cipollone said. In DeVos, Trump repeated his attacks on Democrat House managers serving as prosecutors in the trial, saying that he'd like to sit right in front row and stare at their corrupt face on the Senate floor during the trial, but that his attorneys might have a problem with it. And he said he wants to deliver the State of the Union as scheduled on February 4th, even if the trial is ongoing, calling the address very important to what I am doing in setting his administration agenda. The impeachment trial is set against the backdrop of the 2020 election. All 4 senators who are Democrat presidential candidates were off the campaign trail, seated as jurors. And that does it for my evening news report right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your evening, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for another news report. Good night and bye, everyone.